Hello, everyone. I am Kristen, a clerk here at McCracken County Public Library, and we are back today with another edition of our popular Conversations with the Writer series. I have my regular co-host here, the fabulous Tammy Blackwell, director at Marshall County Public Library, and today we have a guest, avid reader, book blogger, Michelle Champion. Her day job is a student records clerk out at McCracken County school system. But today she's going to talk to us about reading and blogging and how she manages it all. Before we get started, I just want to mention that the opinions we express today are our own and not of our places of employment. So if you get mad at anyone, just get mad at us. Although we're not going to be that controversial. Right, ladies? No, of course not. All right, so let's get started today. And I just dropped my pen. Hang on a second. Let's get started. One of the things I've just been interested in, I've been following you for a little bit on Facebook and everything. And I knew you were a reader because you read more than pretty much anyone I know. Wow. But how did you get, and I thought I read a lot until I met Michelle. How did you get into the blogging aspect? I looked at your blog. You've been doing this about 2009-ish,
something like that,
2010-ish.
yes.
How did you get into that?
I was just looking for a way to get books.
Okay.
Yes, so where I was living didn't have a library, and I know, it's terrible. And so I was trying to find a way to get books because it's very expensive when you have a reading habit. And so I discovered that the publishers will send books to people if they will blog about them or promote them. And so what I did was write to a couple of the publishers. Dutton is one that sends me lots of books, and they would send books, and I would just write my review. And sometimes you get like a little blurb with your name on it in the little publications that they send out. So that's how it started.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So and then I moved to a town with a library, and I didn't do it as much. And then I decided, yes, I still want to do this. I want to have like a little cult following. And so I kept it up, and I've tried to increase that over the last few years.
Okay. So how did you pick what publishers you wanted to reach out to? Were there publishers that wrote books you were interested in, or were you just like, or were there publishers that you thought would respond, or both?
I started with Harlequin because they publish so many novels, and you can crack those books. I do too. I love Harlequin. Can't help it. I do. So I thought, okay, what have I got to lose? So I wrote to them, and they sent me a few novels, the white novels, the one that, the white copy.
Yes, with the oval picture on the front.
Yes, I can't think of the name of those, what they call those in the trade, but they were all those white covers with the little red oval. They sent me those. They're all quick reads, and I just wrote about what I thought about them. And then I branched out a little bit. I was trying to get the John Grisham. Can't get those for anything. He won't send those out. But mostly it was romance novels. I guess because there's so many that are published all the time, and so they're looking for someone to promote that, because it's I'm sure it's a stiff marketing area, commercial area that they have a lot of competition. So I think that's how I chose them. And then I realized that some publishers tended to send me more. I've gotten some I did not like. I'm not big into fantasy, so I really haven't done those, and those publishers have dropped me off completely because I just can't get into them. But I get a lot of romance mostly.
Now, you're a romance writer.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of blogs out there based on romance. There's a She Blogs Romance I was looking at the other night. There's Wendy, the super librarian, who does there's Smart Bitches Trashy Books, which I love.
It's my favorite. Yes, I love Smart
I haven't
Bitches
been to
Trashy
that
Books.
one.
Oh, I love them. They're great. Why do you think romance in general, or I'm going to ask a different question. Do you think that there is a marketing budget for romance? Because a lot of what I see is authors promoting their own books and these blogs, which aren't paid except in new material,
except
in books, which is, I don't want to sneeze at.
No,
books are expensive.
That's fabulous.
But do you think that they rely on this kind of guerrilla marketing so they don't have to put any money into it?
I mean, that probably makes the most sense.
you're not, even though romance is $1 billion industry.
Billion.
Yeah.
Keeping some publishers afloat, I
Yes.
would say.
Yes,
I think so,
completely
too.
keeping
Yeah.
some publishers
Yeah.
afloat. It's still, those aren't the books that you're going to walk into, let's say, Books A Million here, and see a big cardboard
Right.
thing,
Yeah.
display for. They don't do that. I think also it may just be that romance readers are very likely to take the opinions of other romance readers
That's a
Oh, that's a
good
good
point.
point.
over, because we are, so many professional reviewers look down their nose at us, and so we aren't, and a lot of times when you see something that's, touted and, one of those bigger things as a great romance novel, and you read it and it's not actually a romance novel, it doesn't tick the right boxes
Yes.
because those aren't romance readers. And so I think that relationship between book bloggers and romance works really well because we trust each other more than we trust outsiders.
I'll agree with that. And
Yeah, I do too.
I follow a lot of authors, romance authors on Twitter, and the worst thing you want to do is say something's a romance that's not a romance.
Does not have a happily ever after.
It does
Yeah.
not have a happily ever after because they will attack en masse and you will run and lick your wounds.
It's a good way.
Which I'm fine with.
Yeah.
I understand that. I mean, don't tell me it's a romance if it's not a romance. And some of these bigger authors that you read that are more of the prestige end, I'll say, their publishing houses are kept afloat, but all these little romance readers they want to keep in the back. And they don't want to acknowledge or market to in any way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And again, and we've talked about this, Tammy, before, I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to bring it up anytime I get a shot. Is it because it's a female readership?
I think sexism and patriarchy plays very strongly into how romance is treated in general.
Yeah. Now, you don't just read romance.
I don't.
You read a ton of stuff.
Yeah, and
How do you decide what you're
Well,
reading?
I also wanted to tell you too that since digital books have become more prevalent, I've got digital platforms now where I request my books, the advanced readers copies, and they are primarily more general fiction or women's fiction. I don't tend to get auto approved for the romance as much. I have to request those. But like Fiona Davis, every time she publishes a book, they always send me a copy of that digitally to read. Like she's got one coming out in January, well this month, at the end of the month, and I read it last year.
Okay.
So, it's kind of neat to get that, but it has switched. Now to answer your question, what was your question? I just want to make sure you knew that it's the whole advanced readers thing has switched since I started doing it, because now publishers don't send out as many hard copies of the books, but they're harder to get.
Yeah.
The digital copies, though, I could get them all day long.
And I wanted to get back
To
into
that?
get back
Okay.
to that, because I have a couple questions on that
Okay.
too. But how do you decide what you're reading? Is it, and I mean the things that you aren't sent. If Michelle is going out and about and she's browsing Amazon, or she's browsing, maybe not Amazon, but she's browsing Craig County Library site, what are you looking for? What do you look for? What do you read?
I'm the worst person in the world because I judge a book by its cover. I totally do. I've got friends, you're one of them, that if you read a book, I'm very interested to see if when you get on Goodreads, if you have rated a book highly, very likely it's going to go into my TBR stash. Pam, that also works here, is
Yes.
the same way. If she has rated a book highly, very likely it's going to go into my TBR, because you guys, I can trust you that you guys read quality books, and so I can go with it, and you're honest with your reviews.
I try. I don't always write a review, but if something impacted me negatively or very positively,
Yes.
I try to do
You're on
so.
top of it. You
Yeah.
always star them. You always give 1, 2, 3, 5
I do.
stars.
I do that.
You always do that. The other thing is some of these other book bloggers that I work with, if they rate a book like, oh my gosh, I couldn't put it down, I very much get on the library website, put it on hold. I'm more of a digital reader these days than a physical reader. So I am constantly perusing your catalog here to see what digital books we're getting in and try to get those on hold as quickly as possible. I'm always at the max on my holds here. always. Because I like to be the first one to read the book because I don't like spoilers and I don't like people ruining it for me. And I want to say, you got to read this. You must get this when it comes out. I want to be that person.
Now you have, and before we get into ARCs, you have multiple library cards. You just don't.
I
You
do.
don't have one just here at McCracken.
I have 5 library cards. I have McCracken, and then I have Campbell County, and I'm trying to think real quick, Warren County, and then I have the Library of Philadelphia and the Brooklyn Public Library, and I pay for those.
Okay.
I only pay for the last 2.
The Brooklyn and the Philadelphia. Okay.
Do you see that look to the camera?
What?
You don't have a Marshall County Public Library.
I tried to get one, and you had to go there, so I just haven't been. I have looked into that. Louisville's the same way. I have to go to the library to get one. So I've been looking. Actually, I've done 2 blog posts about how to get non-resident library cards, and you're mentioned in one of them.
Yeah, I'll show you the online form we have now.
Great. I would love to get one. I collect library cards.
And I knew that about, that's one, I was interested in that. I knew that about you, that you had library cards from multiple places, which I don't know if I can keep that straight, but
I am managing, and I also keep up with the stats on if I were purchasing the book, how much this book would cost me, and at the end of the year I figure out, because I have to justify spending the money for these library cards, because they're not cheap. I mean, $50 it's not cheap. So I like to figure out how much I would have spent had I purchased those books, and you guys have come in second the last couple of years, so that's great for our little local community library. I do get a lot from you, but I do get a lot at Brooklyn also. Those are my 2 highest users, just because the content, the catalogs are so varying.
okay.
And I like to be eclectic in my reading, as you stated. I'm
Yeah.
very eclectic in it.
All right, so I want to get into ARCs because I know what they are. I don't know how to get them. And a quick personal story, probably, it's been a year or 2 now. Tammy messaged me and a couple other people and said, hey, does anyone want to read a little something I've been working on? And at the time, I was just like, I was swamped. And so I didn't, I said, no, I don't have time right now.
I'll do it.
And probably, I don't know, maybe 6 months, 8 months later, she published something. And so I told a friend of mine, you've got to read this new book that Tammy put out. It's great. It was Farmer Brown.
Okay.
And she said, I read that. That's the one she sent out, 6 months ago asking for readers. And I was like,
I missed out.
so
You could have had your words on the book
I
jacket.
could have. So how do ARCs work? They're advanced reader copies, correct? And how do you get those? Where, like I've seen a lot of talk about net. This is released on NetGalley, and this is here. What do you do?
Edelweiss Plus. Those are the 2 biggest. NetGalley is my favorite. It's a lot easier to get approved.
Okay.
It's a free to set up an account, and if you are a librarian or a book blogger or you want to be a book influencer, it's very easy to get started. At first, it's a little hard to get approved, so you just got to keep trying to get approved. And eventually, as you do more reviews, you'll get approved for more. You'll get auto-approved for some publishers. As soon as they publish a book, they'll send you a message and say, do you want to read this? And you can read it. I've read some books that won't be published until way later this year, so you get copies before. And some of them want you to say, do you like the story? Because we have time to rework it. And some of them just say, no, it's done. This is the way it's going to be. We just want people to give it a good review so it will sell well. Most of the ones I get are the latter.
Okay.
I have one author I read for that wants me to look for story and content spelling and all that, but everybody else, they want that it's ready to go. It's already hit the publisher. They're already printing books, and they just want people to say this is fantastic.
Okay. What do you mean by approve? What is the approval process? You request it and they decide if they like you. Do you have to?
Yeah, on
how does that work?
NetGalley, you hit request. So there's a little button that says request under the book, and it wants to know: do you like the cover? Do you like the author? Do you like the subject? Are you interested in the description? And that's basically it. It's just like, are they going to choose me? Come on, choose me. On Edelweiss, you have to say why you want to read the book. You have to write. You have to write a couple sentences to say why, and the publisher reads that. And if they don't like it, you will not get the book.
Oh, okay.
If they like it, they'll give it to you. That's why it's harder to get it on there.
Okay.
Now, some authors will automatically approve you. If you follow them on Facebook, they'll do like a little contest and say, today only from 10 to 1, you can get a free copy of my book on NetGalley. Please review it. If you don't review, they won't send them to you. So like the first ones, you're taking a chance. So if you don't put a review either on Barnes & Noble or Amazon, Goodreads, a blog.
How do they track that? How can they track that?
I don't know about the blog, if they visit that or not, but I know that they look at Amazon, because you do it, when you're ready to review it, you hit finished or whatever on NetGalley, and then they ask you to do your review, and it says, do you want to publish it to Goodreads? There's a little box you check. Or do you want to publish to Barnes & Noble? And then they'll send you an email when the book is published and say, would you go back and do it on Amazon now? Because Amazon won't let you do it in advance. It has to be a published book.
Yeah.
And they ask you to do it wherever. And if you hashtag anything on Twitter, they give you a hashtag they want you to use for the book.
Okay.
So the more you promote it, the more you put your reviews out there, the more books you're going to get approved for reading.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
relatively easy. You just have to do a little legwork.
Okay. Now, what is the benefit of that to an author? I'm sure there is much benefit.
There
to
is
an
a
author.
ton of benefit to an author. So the rise in book bloggers happened around when you started, 2009, 2010. That was also the rise of self-publishing.
Oh, yeah.
And the two of them, it was like this marriage made in heaven that they came together. And if it wasn't for book bloggers, I don't think self-publishing would have became the legitimate thing that it is today.
Okay.
What was happening were, book bloggers like you getting started out, maybe not getting as many books that they wanted to review from those review sources, because that was still, when they were sending out the paper ones. And so the self-published authors were reaching out to book bloggers and being like, hey, I have this new book, would you read it? Whatever. And I mean, just basically begging. And it was from that where self-publishing really got its legitimacy, is because these book bloggers were reading some really great books that were being written and talking them up and putting those reviews on Amazon and everything.
They were getting free advertising.
Yes, it was, and I mean, so me personally, I have gotten a lot of, I think a lot of my career is thanks to book bloggers. And I mean, it wasn't me necessarily reaching out all the time either. It was easy for book bloggers. When we first started out self-publishing, most of us were selling our books for 99 cents on Amazon.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, 99 cents is nothing. I mean, that's less than a cup of coffee. So, book bloggers and people were buying those, and it was okay if they only made it a few pages in and didn't finish.
Right.
But the ones they did finish, they would review and they would talk about, and that's exactly how I went from 1 month selling like 20 copies and thinking, hey, that was pretty fun. And then the next month I'd sold 400, and then the next was several thousand. And it was all thanks to book bloggers and people doing the reviews.
I can see that. I mean, I really can. Harper Lynn is the author I read for when she finished writing a book. I read for her. And she has done that. She's self-published, and she's gotten very big in the cozy mystery world now. And I really think it's because she has this crew, is what she calls us, and we review it, we promote it for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is great, because she just starts writing the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, because the promotion does take away from the writing and all that.
Yeah.
So it is, it's just, honestly, that really, I think book bloggers have literally changed the game for publishing. And I don't know if you've noticed, I feel like maybe it's not quite as popular as it was about, 10 years ago, but the ones that have stuck through it, their word is very, people take that to heart.
I would say automatically respected.
Yes.
And there is a couple of blogs that I follow, and because of that established history, I trust when they post something. I'm like, oh, this makes sense.
So you found yourself getting that book.
Yeah.
I do the same thing. Yeah.
And I find out there's a Smart Bitches Trashy Books. They also did like a sale
Yes.
listing, and I follow that.
And it's
pick books
really
up.
bad for your wallet because you're buying
Very
like
bad.
5 books a week.
Yeah.
And I do that.
Yes.
I do that a lot.
Yeah.
Now something that I wanted to get into a little bit, ebook prices to libraries is insane.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
I've heard that.
completely 100% insane. Why do you think publishers, and in my mind it's because publishers think we're their competition, that libraries are their competition, not something that feeds the beast, something that will market like a book blogger would. So why is it okay for them to send free books to Michelle here, but heaven forbid the library pay less than, I don't know, what was it now, $50, $60 a license or something, depending?
I literally just did a order for Libby day before yesterday. And it completely depends on the publisher, the popularity of the book. But what you have to understand, when I purchase a book for Libby, I have to choose whether it's going to expire in 12 months or 24 months or 48 months or whatever. Or some models, it'll be after X number of checkouts that it expires.
I hate that checkout thing.
too.
So not only is it, think about how many books can sit on a shelf in a library for decades.
Yeah.
And here I am saying, not only am I going to say that this is only 24 months that we're keeping this, I am paying you at least 10 times what it costs to buy this ebook on Amazon.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
We're talking $60. Some of them are literally $90-something, like a James Patterson or something like that.
Yeah.
And God bless him, he comes out with a new book every month.
Right.
Literally every month.
Right.
And so here you are and again, it expires in so many months, and so you have to repurchase. I don't know. It's a point of contention between publishers and libraries, and I don't think we're coming up with an answer. But I think what they see is one book to one person, as opposed to they understand that people use libraries. I think that shows more than anything that publishers understand the importance and the usage of libraries.
Yeah. Yes.
Because they know that it's not just going to be one person who reads it when
Right.
they sell it to a
Right.
public library.
Yeah.
They understand how much we get used and how important we are to our communities. And they know that because we are going to do everything that we can to meet the community need, that we are going to keep forking over that money.
Yeah. Oh, they got us over a barrel.
They
I
do.
didn't think about it like that.
I didn't either. I know
Yeah.
as a reader, I hate that when I don't know that McCracken's site does. I'm not sure which one does. I know Brooklyn does because I just checked out a book this morning. But it says our license is expired. If we renew the license, you'll be the first to be able to check it out. So I'm on hold for it.
Yeah.
But I may never get it.
Yes.
'Cause
Yes.
They may never renew the license.
Uh-huh.
But then they may renew it today, and I may get it today. You know.
Yes. Yeah.
It's frustrating as a reader.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
a patron reach out this week, and she was
Uh-huh.
like, I don't understand what this message is. I'm halfway through this series. And I was just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
okay, I'll
This
go,
is
because, you hate for somebody to be halfway through a series and not be able to finish it. And if one person's willing to reach out and say, I really want to read this, and actually when we go in, we can see how many holds have been placed. And
Right.
I had like 7 holds just at Marshall County. And of course, Libby
So it was just
covers all
viable.
of Kentucky usually.
Yeah.
So there was like 7 for me. There was over 10 for the entire state. I was like,
Right.
well, of course I'm going to buy these books again then,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's how that works. So, and I mean, this is a series that's a little older, so you can see the demand that is there for ebooks in libraries.
Yes,
I mean,
I'll agree with
it's
that.
very, very high. I can say, I can't think of ebooks itself, but Marshall County Public Library has over 3,000 audiobooks borrowed from Hoopla every month.
I
Wow.
believe that.
I mean,
there's
every
a lot
month.
of people that are switching over to the audiobooks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I mean this is pretty much very off topic, but there is this huge need out there, and we are going to continue to meet that need. It would be nice if publishers helped us instead
Yes.
of took advantage of us.
Yeah.
But here we are.
I mean, but
and-
you're a guaranteed customer. You know, you're
Yeah,
exactly.
You're guaranteed you're going to come back and you're going to buy
yes,
their next book.
because we don't need, individuals need the book bloggers to talk them into reading
Right.
something.
Right.
Libraries, we just need somebody saying, I want to read it, and there we are.
That's the part I never understood though. But you guys you're definitely going to purchase from them again.
We have,
Yeah.
and I mean, there's 5 publishers left?
And they're cannibalizing each other. I feel
Yeah,
like.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. So, we can't fight 5 multi-billion-dollar,
Correct.
companies.
Yeah.
Because we're spending all of our money on
James
their
Patterson books.
digital
Yeah.
material, and therefore cannot afford a lawyer.
I think one of those that you guys are having issues with are also very hard for us to get advanced readers copies books of. Hatchet is really bad about approving.
Yeah.
They're really, really bad about it. You have to have like a high NetGalley rating. I have 80%. I have 80% positive feedback or whatever, good feedback, whatever NetGalley calls it. I have a button that says 80%, so I can get some of them that others can't. But if you don't have 98% of the books I've gotten, I've reviewed. So I'm one of their better ones they'll send to. So I've gotten some of theirs. But then some of the people I talk to on the internet, like, I can't get a book from them for anything because you've only got 50%. It's just weird.
And I have taken advantage of my employment here. I had a series I was reading on Libby, and I couldn't get the next one. I just emailed the person and hey, I need this book. Not that anyone else could have done, like the patron reach out to you could have done the exact same thing. I just like to feel like I'm cutting a corner. Makes me feel important.
Yeah.
Kristen, I've done it too, so you're not that important.
Hey! Don't take that from me,
Okay,
Michelle.
I'm just saying. I've emailed Justin and said, hey.
But I've also, as I've become more aware of how much they've cost, I've thought, am I the only person in the, that would want this? And I just don't reach out. I'm like, I know they'll get it. And even if I was, didn't work here, they would get it.
Right.
But I think twice about it because I don't want you to spend, I don't want to spend stretched library resources.
Here's the thing. I have back-end
Something like
access
that.
to Libby. I cannot think of a book that I've looked at that didn't have multiple
Requests.
and readings. There's some that are available now, but if you look at its history, they all get checked out. I mean, they all really do. And
So there is a big market.
there is a
For the digital platform.
huge
Yeah,
market for the
I'll agree.
digital platform.
Okay.
I mean, and there's still a huge market for
Paper.
too. We still have, during the lockdown in 2020, we had a lot of people for the first time try the digital stuff.
Right.
And I would say maybe 25% of them stuck with it. They were like, ha, a new world has opened
Yes.
up for me.
That's how I felt when I first
And
started.
I honestly feel like they're checking out more now that they're doing it digitally.
Yeah. I'll agree with
100%.
that.
But those other 75% of people were like, thank God you're open again. I can get a real book.
Yeah.
They want to feel it
Yeah,
and smell
smell
it
it.
and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, possibly taste it if they're a toddler. But, so, I think there is a huge market for the digital stuff, mostly because it is so easy. And so people who maybe read 10 books a year before are now reading 15 books a year because they don't have to wait until the library's open.
Correct.
They don't have to call and put stuff on hold. They can do it themselves at 2 o'clock in the morning when they can't sleep if they want to.
Right.
And
I love that feature. I do. I love. That's why I started. You know.
I love that if I'm reading a series and I finish, book 2 at 7 o'clock at night, and I'm like, what happens next? I can go ahead and by 7:05 be reading book 3.
Yes.
Right.
I think that's great. So, yeah, there's both needs there, but it is much easier for us as a library system to buy physical copies. But don't ever worry that you're the only person going to read a digital copy because, you're not.
Okay. I'm going to take a quick jump right here. We've talked a lot about Libby. We've talked about Overdrive. In February, Overdrive is dropping the Overdrive app in favor of just the Libby app. You may be thinking, okay, if you are a Kindle user, the Libby app is not in the Kindle store as of yet. Amazon and Overdrive are fighting about something, probably money, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's not in the app, it's not there yet. If you will go to McCracken County Library site, www.mclib.net, we have instructions for you on how to get the Libby app on your Kindle. I'm sure Marshall County will have something similar. Or you can come in and
As
talk.
soon as we steal it from McCracken County.
Yeah.
Been stealing a lot from McCracken County lately.
Yeah. Oh, I'm working on a blog post on that too. Because I usually go through the Overdrive. So anybody I've taught how to do it, I've taught through the Overdrive. So now I got to go a different way too.
So check our website. We do have an article on it. I have some friends that have tried it, said it works great. Some staff here have tried it, it works great. So just keep that in mind. And of course, both Marshall County and McCracken County will keep you up on how to get your books because we know you need to get your books. So
Yes. And those of you who have not switched to Libby, I like it so
love
much
Libby.
better. So,
Yes.
you know, every time you change something, there's that awkward period where like, where is stuff? But once you get it, you're going to be like, oh, this is so much better.
Yeah. Before we get into, because we've been going around 30 minutes, so before we get into our suggestions, where do you want your blogging to go? What would you like to be? What would you like the outcome to be?
I want to be a book influencer. No, you know, I want to be famous. I do.
Go for it.
I'm trying so hard to be famous. I'm trying. I want people to trust me. I love that I have this gang of readers. That's what I've got on my NetGalley thing. I have this gang of readers that they look to me for suggestions. It's very narcissist. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be, but I like that they trust me to find them a book, because a lot of people don't read like I read, and they may read 10 books a year, and it's really honoring when they say, I trust you to pick out this book for me. Every month I pick out a book. I ask people to read along with me that I think is fabulous, and a lot of my friends are reading it. I think that's fun. So that's where I want to go with it. I want to be a book influencer. I want to be it on a bigger scale.
Okay. All right. Real quick, also, Michelle, and I want to talk to you about this offline.
Okay.
But I'm going to mention it here. Michelle was on an episode of ABC's show The Hustler in February. That show is on Hulu.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It is. That's where I watched it. Was on Hulu.
Okay.
So you got your toe in famous.
Yeah, I'm trying to get on Jeopardy too.
Okay.
Yes.
Good luck with that.
I am trying hard to get on Jeopardy.
Okay. I'm going to open my tablet again. Okay. So what suggestions would you like to give our audience here? What should we be reading? Something you've read that you want us to read.
Well, my book for January is The Last Dance of the Debutante by Julia Kelly. I don't know if you guys have read that. It's I don't know, it's like a women's fiction book. It's a very good book. It's about the last girls that were presented before the Queen in 1958. I think it's really cute, but it's got this story that's going, hey, well, looky there behind it. It's not
Okay.
just about the queen and these girls. There's this really interesting aspect over here. I think that is fabulous. I'm really looking forward to reading Run, Rose, Run by James Patterson.
Okay.
So I'm telling everybody, I think that's going to be fabulous. Dolly Parton and James Patterson, you know, have y'all seen that yet? Yeah,
No.
they're writing a
Yeah.
book together.
Oh.
It's coming out soon.
He
Okay.
has now chained Dolly Parton into his basement along with Bill Clinton
Correct.
and all those other people he has
Yes.
chained down there writing books.
Yes.
So.
It's going to be great. And, of course, I'm looking for suggestions if you guys have any for me as well.
Something I read, and this is it's I'll shortcut it, but I wound up joining a book club based out of Canada, and I went to their meeting, their January book. They pick a book a month. Their January book is called Neon Gods by Katie Robert, and I flippin' loved it.
What was it about?
Based on Greek mythology,
Oh.
actually, and it's about how Hades and Persephone got together.
Ooh.
And it kind of has like a bit of a modern spin on it. There's this whole council that's run by Zeus, and Persephone has been promised to Zeus in marriage. She does not want to marry Zeus. She ran away and wound up with Hades, and he and Zeus are mortal enemies. It's very spicy. There's sex scenes are spicy, so just beware of that.
So the New York Public Library
Right.
reviewed this book as, have you ever heard the story of Hades and Persephone and thought, what that needs is some BDSM?
Oh.
That's exactly correct. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
That was New York Public Library's
Yeah.
review. So
Then that's perfect. The second book comes out on Tuesday. I've already pre-ordered it. And again, real quick, putting lie to the whole that libraries don't help publishers, I checked this book out on Hoopla. And 3 chapters in, I'd returned my Hoopla copy, I bought it, and pre-ordered the second one. So that
Look
it's
at
a
what you
feeder.
just did.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's a feeder. It's a feeder.
And I've done that as well.
Yeah.
You like this book so much, I'm going to purchase it.
Yeah. I also want to suggest, I've just started reading Homecoming King by your favorite Penny Reed.
that was on my list.
But I've just started it, but so far I really like it.
Yeah.
I also read If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy. And Disney is doing a series with a bunch of authors to kind of put a modern take on certain fairy tales. This is Cinderella. And it's based on a Cinderella idea. Her parents are dead. She lives with a stepmother who isn't an evil stepmother. I was very glad about that. And the stepmother is a producer of a reality dating show, and she winds up as a contestant on the show. And I loved it. It was very cute. It's great.
Adorable.
Jasmine Guillory has one based on, I think it's Beauty and the Beast. Either Beauty and the Beast or Princess of the Frog. I can't remember which one. Later this year. So I'm really looking forward to that book. But those are, and The Singles Table by Sarah Desai. It is, she's an Indian writer, and this woman is stuck at the singles table at all the weddings because she's not married, and all the aunties want her to get married, and she kind of fancies herself as a matchmaker. So she meets this man at the singles table and said, I'm going to find you a wife. You need a wife. I'm going to find you a wife. And he's like, okay, whatever, just leave me alone. And it turns out maybe she's the wife. But it's really cute. Sarah Desai, The Singles Table. It's part of a series. Do not read The Marriage Game. It's not good. But The Singles Table is very good.
I didn't start the marriage game.
Don't. It's not good. Don't do that.
Well, I do want to tell you too, Fiona Davis has a new book coming out in a couple weeks. It's fantastic. It's about the Frick in New York City. Every book she writes is about a landmark in New York City. All of my little readers that I'm in a group with, we have a book club that we meet one Wednesday a month, and we all read every book Fiona does. So I'm really excited for everybody to get this one.
Okay. I'll have to check her
It's
out.
called the Magnolia Palace. But every book is a New York landmark with like a not a romance. This is just a little story around it.
Okay.
Cool.
Tammy, what you got?
So, Homecoming King, of course, I know we're all surprised that Tammy has recommended yet another Penny Reed book.
Yeah.
But this is a completely new series. It does not really tie in necessarily with the rest of them, although you do know it's the same world because of some security detail that was put on somebody at some point in the book, but you have to really know your knitting in the series. I was like, oh, wait a minute, I know those people. And then I finally got around to reading Sarah McLean's Bombshell.
Oh, yeah.
And that was
it.
one I'd really put off just simply because, as those of you who've been following the videos and how they've become basically my therapy sessions, no, I have really struggled with reading, and I know that whenever I started it, I would love it, but I didn't want to start it when I was in a bad headspace,
Yes, I
you
understand
know.
that entirely.
So I finally got to where I was like, yeah, I think I'm ready for this, and it was absolutely delightful,
Okay.
as every
Glad to
other
hear
Sarah
that.
McLean is. I will say the prologue, you might skip.
Oh,
Okay.
I personally, I started the prologue probably 5 times.
oh.
And would put the book to the side. And finally I was like, I'm skipping this prologue, going straight to chapter 1. And when I did that, I was done in 2 days.
Okay.
So put the,
Yeah.
just skip the prologue, go straight in.
I'm going to move that up now because it's been on my list
I've
forever.
read some Sarah McLean. I like her.
Yeah.
too.
So I'll have to add that. My list is so long.
I like this one. It's a gang of women that are taking matters into their own hands.
Okay.
When it comes, you know, men have all the power, men have all the influence, and, you know, women end up in marriages that are awful and they fix it. And so they're kind of a ragtag, quirky group of women, and I can't wait to see each of their stories. We start with Cicely, who we know from other books.
Right.
Her sisters all got married in another series. So we start with her, but all of her friends are rather odd and fun, and so I'm excited.
Okay, I'm excited about that. Thank you, ladies, for those suggestions. Take those to heart; they're good. And we've been going on for a while, so I guess we'll bring us to a close. I want to thank Michelle for joining us
I'm so
today.
excited.
It's
Thank
so
you.
great. And I want to now appeal to the audience real quick. I would like to do a series with Michelle where we talk about books that we're going to continue conversations with the writer, and it's going to go in that vein. But I want to do a series with Michelle where we talk about blogging and books where she just suggests books, basically.
I would love it.
Yeah. But would you love it?
Would you love it?
So what I would like for you to do, if that's something that you would be interested in us doing, interested in seeing, put a comment on this video when it goes out on our Facebook page, and let us know what you think. Would you like to have a blogging series? Me and Michelle just kind of gab about books a little bit, and there might be a prize in it for you if you add a comment. So I want to ask you to do that. Tammy, as always, it is a pleasure to have you.
Love being here.
I just love having you here. And we'll meet, we'll discuss topics for our next Conversations with the Writer video.
And you could also comment and tell us what you would like for us to talk about.
That too, yes. Because I would like to have, I have, I'm sure Tammy does too, topics that are a mile long, but maybe there are topics that only interest me and Tammy. So if there are topics that would interest you, absolutely comment on this video. Let us know what you think. And I guess we'll close. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
And on behalf of Craig County Public Library, have a great afternoon.